All right, so I realized I have a lot of new subscribers to the channel. A lot of people subscribed after my Grand National Roadster Show video from the other day. So I'm sure there's people that aren't in the state of California. But just to get you up to speed of what's going on, back in September of 2018, I started a Facebook group called Californians for Classic Car Smog Exemptions. Most people in the car community know, even if they're out of state, that we have very stringent smog laws in the state of California. And essentially, about 15 years ago, the rolling exemption for classic cars was frozen at 1975, and older vehicles are exempted, and no newer vehicles have been exempted since. And this has created quite a problem because, due to the stringent laws, cars are required to have all the original smog equipment, which in a lot of cases is no longer available. So that's what's going on there. I started the group, and then I made a Facebook video, and a lot of people commented, well, I'm not on Facebook, but I want to keep up what's going on with this. So what I did was I said, okay, I'll occasionally make a YouTube video as to what is going on with getting legislation through to get more classic vehicles preserved for future generations by getting them exempted from smog checks. So that's what's going on there. Speaking of the Facebook group, this morning it actually hit 1,500 members. And it's actually continued to grow. It actually grew quite a bit even after the author, Assemblyman Volpel, pulled the Assembly Bill 210. That actually helped us increase in membership because he did tell us and told some other people that are in the group that he was working on a new bill to basically please the members of the Assembly transportation community who wanted to see it be more of something lettered towards collector vehicles rather than just a blanket exemption of old cars, just in case some of them, I guess, were being driven every day. So like I said, Assembly Bill 210 is no more. It was withdrawn. I was originally, if you watched the last video on the this whole smog thing, I was supposed to go to Sacramento to meet up with Assemblyman Volpel, including members of the Association of California Car Clubs, and I'm sure some other people were supposed to go to Sacramento to kind of iron out what we'd like to see in a bill to get some of these cars exempted. And of course, most people agree that either a rolling exemption or an exemption that, like, bumps the year up to like a pre-OBD2 or something would be way more ideal. And I think the Assemblyman probably received a lot of emails regarding this and phone calls and things like that. So that's probably why, you'll see how kind of they're going that route. So like I said, I had planned to go to Sacramento. In fact, I purposely, I was going to do another trip, and I didn't do that because I figured I'd budget the money for if I had to go to Sacramento to do this meeting, because I've got to do all this out of my own pocket. But yesterday, kind of out of nowhere, we found out that Assemblyman Volpel actually introduced a new bill. This one's called Assembly Bill 1972. So this is the new classic car exemption bill. So I'm going to go into hopefully what I think this bill is about. Unfortunately, it's not completely cut and dry like Assembly Bill 210. Assembly Bill 210 basically took the year 1976, where it said 1976 and newer had to have a smog check, and replaced that year with 1983, where it would be 1983 and newer had to have a smog check. So that was pretty cut and dry, easier to figure out what's going on there, and it was a blanket exemption for all vehicles in those years. So that one's no longer there. So now it's Assembly Bill 1972. It's not the same bill, but it's I'm going to go into that. It is a little confusing. Now I'm going to go into what I think the intention of the bill is, because one of our members of the small group actually got a message back from Assemblyman Volpel stating that this bill would exempt all collector vehicles from emissions testing. Basically, that's what he said. So I think that's the intention, is to exempt anything that's considered a collector vehicle in the state of California. Now, in the last video, the one that was Sacramento, we have a problem video, I went into the whole definition of it, but I'm going to do an abbreviated version here. It's basically 35 years or older, 25 years or older with a historic vehicle license plate, or of special interest. So that means you could have, say, a vehicle that's somewhere between 25 and 35 years old that is of some sort of special interest, which, I mean, that's sort of like a vague definition. You could get it exempted. Now, I think any vehicle of that age that's in excellent condition is of a special interest personally, and so it'll be interesting to see how that is interpreted. So I'm going to go into this. I'm going to actually read I'm going to put it on the screen what's going on with the bill, and also in the description on this video, I'm going to put a link to the bill. And then anything some of the stuff that it references, I try to figure out what was going on there. I think it's going to get revised before it actually gets read in the assembly. I think there might be some things there where they're going to find that they need to change a few wordings and things like that. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a politician, so I can't say 100%. But usually bills get revised when they find out certain things, and so I'm fairly certain this is not the final version of this bill. Obviously, I can't say that 100%. So we're gonna go into the vehicle code part of this. Here's the fun legal part. Existing law establishes a motor vehicle inspection and maintenance smog check program that is administered by the Department of Consumer Affairs. The smog check program requires inspection of motor vehicles upon initial registration, biennially upon renewal registration, upon transfer of ownership, and in certain other circumstances, existing law exempt motor vehicles as defined from an emissions control inspection if the vehicle meets specific criteria. This bill would exempt all collector motor vehicles from these requirements. So this is at the top of the bill. That's what it says. This bill would exempt all collector motor vehicles from these requirements. So that's why I assume this is the intent of the bill. Obviously, we're for that. Now, collector motor vehicle, if you go back and watch the other video, this does not mean daily drivers. This means a majority of the time it's being used for like a car show, club events, parades, things like that. It's not your car to drive to work every day. Which I'm sure most people they have that they fall into that. Obviously, not everyone does, so not everyone's going to be happy about this. I have no control over this. I'm just going off of what's in the bill. So what it does change in the vehicle code when you scroll all the way down, it basically Section 1 of the vehicle code. It lists all the vehicles that are exempted. Basically, it says all like all motorcycles. No motorcycles get smog checked in the state of California. Everything prior to 1976. This bill does not change if you own a pre-1976 car, or truck, which I own a few. Those are still be exempted as they are right now. Now, going down to the bottom of this page, it changes the vehicle code. I'm going to put this on the screen. It says, for purposes of subdivision A collector motor vehicle is defined in section 259 of the vehicle code, is exempt from those portions of the test required by subdivision F of section 44012. And it actually this actually crosses out certain things in the vehicle code here, including, it said the collector motor vehicle would have to meet these criteria. Submission of proof that it's insured as a collector motor vehicle, so it gets rid of that. The motor vehicle is at least 35 model years old, so it gets rid of that. And it says motor vehicle complies with exhaust emission standards from the vehicle class and model year as prescribed by the department, and the motor vehicle passes a functional inspection of the fuel cap and a visual inspection for liquid fuel leaks. So what I think it's basically saying is anything that's classified as a collector motor vehicle, you're probably going to have to do mileage reports or something like that stating that you don't drive it that much. We defined the collector vehicle more in depth in the last video, so I'm not going to do that again because, good Lord, it'll give me a headache or something if I have to do that again. But we are going to say that, so it exempts from portions of the test required in 44012. Section F says a visual or functional check is made of emissions control devices specified by the department, including the catalytic converter, in those instances in which the department determines it to be necessary to meet the findings of section 44001. A visual or functional check shall be performed in accordance with procedures prescribed by the department. Again, this is kind of where it gets confusing. I'm really going to have to, if somebody's a lawyer and can like look at this and tell me what they think, without charging us, because we don't have any money to do this. So as we go back into 44001, it just basically lists, it's basically the part of the vehicle code that they're looking to amend, which lists all the vehicles that are exempted. So that goes right back to the vehicle code that they're trying to amend. So that, I'm going to put all the links to some of this stuff, and you guys can look it over for yourself. Tell me what you think. Honestly, I think this is, it will get a little bit changed around a little bit, but the intent of the bill is to exempt collector motor vehicles. Which, here's where we are on this. I know not everyone's going to be happy about this. From what I understand, some of the collector car lingo says that the vehicles have to be original and unaltered. Obviously, there's a bit of an interpretation to that. Obviously, I don't think the DMV is not going to be able to go inspect every single collector car in the state of California, from those years. That's not going to happen. There's no budget for that sort of thing. But it doesn't address anything. Another thing that actually does need to be addressed, but it's a whole other topic, is modern engine swaps in vintage cars, because the laws are definitely antiquated on that. I'll probably do another video on that, so I'm not going to go into that too much. But a lot of the guys who want to do like the LS swaps on their cars, they may or may not be happy about this bill. So we'll see what goes on in the future for that. Obviously, the group and myself are pro anything that's going to save historic vehicles for future generations. So I just need to see exactly how this whole thing's going to be defined and how it's going to be laid out, that if this bill goes through, what it's going to do for the cars and what owners are going to have to do to make sure they're exempted and still following the letter of the law. So that's my concern. So I'd like to find out more. And of course, once I find out more, I'll make another video and I'll post it in the group, which I'm going to put a link to the group again. I put the link to the group in all the videos I've done on this topic. And of course, we're hoping to hear some more soon about this, which I do expect to hear more. And so thanks for watching this video. If you don't want to join the group and you still want to find out more about this, you can subscribe to the channel, and I will keep you up to date as I know information about getting something like this through. Unfortunately, if you wrote a letter or an email, you're gonna have to write a new letter or email, because this is a completely different assembly bill. So that's basically what that means. But I'm gonna definitely keep you up to date. So be sure to subscribe. And let me know what you think of the bill. Don't get nasty. I mean, I didn't write this bill, so don't get on me. I'm just trying to do this. So I'm just one guy trying to do this. Actually, I'm not one guy. I'm a whole group trying to do this. There's a lot of people behind this. So thanks for watching.